Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's cool. It's 41 degrees. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson, for that. And in a week, while on a boat going up and down the East Coast, our high was 74. So this is an adjustment. So I'm wearing a pea coat like the ones I got at Army Navy stores when I was a student. It's always solid, warm, inexpensive. So I have an updated pea coat, and it's just right for the weather today. The stories that are interesting to me, and perhaps to you as well, which cause us to do some head scratching, is the story that Carville is calling Biden the most tragic figure in American politics in my lifetime. Now, this strikes me several ways. First of all, you mean more than Nixon, more than Reagan, more than Bush 1, more than Bush 2, more than Trump? Really? So, at the very least, that's, I guess, some sort of exaggeration, unless all of those presidents were okay for him, for Carville. Now, I don't underestimate Carville in his earlier days. In fact, he wrote books that I would read and reread and underline because I thought his talking points were to the point, effective, spot on. But I don't understand and don't appreciate any value except a rant to be saying that Biden is the worst president in his lifetime, running for re-election, pardoning his son. Why? What is the political reason to do this? I don't know. And I think if you can give me a rationale, then that's one thing. But when we have Trump doing the crazy things he's doing, and you're talking about Biden, I don't know. Now, there's an interesting story that I like, in the sense that it's a real contradiction in terms. You tell me on a scale of 0 to 10 what kind of Christian you think Trump is. 10 being like Sir Thomas More. 0 being really close to the fires of sulfur that emanate from that place where Satan lies. And I sort of remember nuns saying things like, if you went into church, the thing would fall down. So I wondered if Trump, that was his objective. He went to Paris so that he could go to Notre Dame and prove to people that God is not going to bring down the church if he enters it. Of course, please forgive me, but if God helped make that church get rebuilt in 5 years, why did he burn it down in the first place? But that's what they're going to say all day. I haven't listened to any of the speeches. I can't stand the thought of it. Particularly when the President of the United States, Biden, is a serious Catholic. And we have Satan's assistant going to Notre Dame. So it's another reason to stay away. It might fall on you. There's a judge in Baltimore that said that the U.S. Naval Academy may use race when considering admissions. I think that's the right policy. Why wouldn't you? And, the people who are opposed to any affirmative action really are talking about discriminating against people who have been discriminated, that put them behind the 8 ball. And so some consideration should be given for those who perform so that they may get ahead, so that they may cure our original sin, which goes back to our Declaration of Independence and how we identified who were citizens and who were worthy of democracy. And we made enormous advances, of course, and I think this is one of them. When I was applying to law school, there were two kinds of tensions going on. One was affirmative action of some sort at Columbia Law School for persons of color. And one irony is that a lawyer named Bing, who had worked in a law firm and was very smart, he moved my admission to one of the more, exclusive legal fraternities because he was a member. So we can all give each other a leg up as and when we should. And so we also had the converse situation in which women were quite extraordinary applicants because they were fighting so hard against discrimination. They had to be exceptional, and Columbia recognized that. Some joke that none of the men would have gotten in if it was all strictly done on the numbers. I don't know how they did it, but I do know that they had methods that tried to address all these problems. So the U.S. Naval Academy can be conscious of this. And of course, now that a judge has said that, after the Harvard decision in which they said that Harvard improperly used race, well, this is going to go up in the courts. We'll have to watch that. So from Harvard now to the Naval Academy. Now, in the category of let's choose a couple of things that Trump's doing wrong, Trump wants to move 100,000 federal jobs out of D.C. Now, he tried this before in the last administration. The Bureau of Land Management, which I cut my teeth on when a student at Columbia Law, working with a law professor, one of the finest men I ever met, Harvey Goldschmidt. And the Bureau of Land Management was concerned about permafrost and pipelines in Alaska. And we considered the effect of, the provisions in the EPA, Environmental Protection Administration. And that was pretty interesting stuff. Well, when the Bureau of Land Management under Trump was told, all you guys and gals, you go out to this remote city, I think only 5 went, I'm not sure, but it was a very low number. And what could be more cruel? It's already a problem in America that you are tied geographically to your job if you own a home, if you have family in the area over years, if you have a certain lifestyle because of where you are, and then the government saying, because you have a federal job, I can put you any place I want you. And the current advocates of this are saying this would be really great for these people. Now they have an opportunity to go to the private sector, which is, I guess, the gentlest, most bizarre way I've ever heard anybody say, when we're basically making your job so miserable that you would quit it, we consider that an opportunity. You could go into private industry. Somebody should be hitting these guys in the head with boards every day, Now, another strange thing I get a kick out of, because I think we get a kick out of it, is the USDA ordered that raw milk be tested for bird flu. And there are 720 herds in 15 states where this is a real problem. And there have been, if I remember correctly, 60 people who have been affected by it. Now, they're doing the right thing. Keep in mind, RFK Jr. is a proponent of raw milk. He thinks that's just fine. So you would put him in charge of such issues when his position is harmful to people, according to the scientists, not these bubbleheads who never read or think anything. I just know it. Why can't I have raw milk? it's a kind of an echo chamber, I guess. You hear so often in ads how milk is good for you, when it's really not, by the way. Sorry. And if you're past, I don't know what age, 15, and you're still drinking milk, you really shouldn't be. And yes, I take cream in my coffee, and that's about it. And lately, I don't know if it's a year, I've been using vegetarian milks that the milk industry's upset with, saying that stuff's not milk. If you have almond milk, that's not really milk, that's almonds. Okay, well, whatever you want to call it. If it's about health, we really have to be more careful than we are. If we care about the environment, stripping down the whole world to cause pasture to occur so we can have more cows, so we can have milk, some of which has bird flu. So, sorry for the jaunt. That was a little irresponsible, but not entirely. And it's maybe because I'm still on that ship, and it's shifting side to side in my mind. The final thing I'd say is that in recent days I've had the experience of what life could be like. Conceitedly, being on a ship going up and down the East Coast is not my normal life. And if it was anything like being a sailor, it would be all work. It'd be very hard. That aside, I was on a ship with people from across America, and the people working to serve and to keep the ship going came from 62 different nations. Among the most charming, wonderful people you'd want to meet. And I heard no complaints, basically. Not that I went out looking for it. And I saw people getting along, staff and guests, in a very good way. Now, when Holly and I got back today, we had scheduled to have some children and parents over to feed. Well, they were bringing lots of pumpkins, and they were going to feed them to the pigs. And we've done this with schools in the area as well, classes, children orienting them toward animals. Because, well, you learn something about animals, and it makes you a different kind of person. You see that they think on whatever level, they sense things, they know things. And so they have little pigonalities, if you will. And so it's interesting to watch these kids, when the pumpkins are broken, the pig can put her nozzle into the pumpkin, and the children can pet them and become associated with them in a way different than some people think we should treat animals generally. So, and it's also a cooperative thing, which would be nice for a change, instead of these characters in DC. Both parties, all the time in some way or other, who haven't figured out there's something more important in this world than telling us lies because of your ambition to get in positions of power that then you fail to do anything about the problems that you told us you really cared about. I think that's a fair summary. I know it's fairly cynical, but it's not that different from what I normally say, because if I have any great strength and weakness, it is that it's my clarity of expression. You know where I am, what I think. So, good to visit you, good to be down on the ground. And so I say goodbye to you from my cathedral of trees, and I'll probably be out tomorrow. Bye-bye.